Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. From the book The Best of Ruskin Bond, I will be reading one of the short stories, which is The Thief. Okay, so let's get started. The Thief, it basically revolves around a person who is just 15 and he's with his master, and he only chooses his master, and the way he is able to this thought process of him that he should cheat his master or not is well defined in his story. So let's understand that he be able to do so? He'll cheat and run away by taking the money of the master, or will he just keep calm and go to him? And why he goes to him and doesn't cheat, or why he cheats, we will get to know the answer related to that. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, I was still a thief when I met Arun, and though I was only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Arun was watching the wrestlers when I approached him. He was about 20, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked kind and simple enough for my purpose. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young person's confidence. He seems quite fascinating by the wrestling. Two well-oiled men slid about in the soft mud, grunting and slapping their thighs. When I got Arun into conversation, he didn't seem to realize I was a stranger. "You look like a wrestler yourself," I said. "So do you," he said, which put me out of my stride for the moment, because at the time I was rather thin and bony and not very impressive physically. "Yes," I said, "I wrestle sometimes." "What's your name?" "Deepak," I lied. Deepak was about my fifth name. I had earlier called myself Ranbir, Sudhir, Trilok, and Surinder. After this preliminary exchange, Arun confined himself to the comments on the match, and I didn't have much to say. After a while, he walked away from the crowd of spectators. I followed him. "Hello," he said. "Enjoying yourself?" I gave him my most appealing smile. "I want to work for you," I said. He didn't stop walking. "And what makes you think I want someone to work for me?" "Well," I said, "I have been wandering about all day looking for the best person to work for. When I saw you, I knew that no one else had a chance." Okay, so now we know that he was going to work for him. Let's see what happens. "You flatter me," he said. "That's all right. But you can't work for me." "Why not?" "Because I can't pay you." I thought that over for a minute. Perhaps I had misjudged my man. "Can you feed me?" I asked. "Can you cook?" he countered. "I can't cook," I lied. "If you can cook," he said, "I'll feed you." He took me to his room and told me I could sleep in the veranda. But I was nearly back of the street that night. The meal I cooked must have been pretty awful, because Arun gave it to the neighbor's cat and told me to be off. But I just hung around, smiling in my most appealing way, and then he couldn't help laughing. He sat down on the bed and laughed for a full 5 minutes, and later patted me on the head and said, "Never mind, he'd teach me to cook in the morning." Not only did he teach me to cook, but he taught me to write my name and his, and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentences and add money on paper when you didn't have any in your pocket. It was quite pleasant working for Arun. I made the tea in the morning and later went out shopping. I would take my time buying the day's supplies and made a profit of about 25 paisa a day. I would tell Arun that rice was 56 paisa a point. It generally was, but I wouldn't get it at 50 paisa a point. I think he knew I made a little this way, but he didn't mind. He wasn't giving me a regular wage. I was really grateful to Arun for teaching me to write. I knew that once I could write like an educated man, there would be no limits to what I could achieve. It might even be an incentive to be honest. Arun made money by fits and starts. He would be borrowing one week, lending the next. He would keep worrying about his next check, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate lavishly. One evening, he came home with a wad of notes, and at night, I saw him tuck the bundles under his mattresses at the head of the bed. I had been working for Arun for nearly a fortnight and apart from the shopping, hadn't done much to exploit him. I had every opportunity for doing so. I had a key to the front door, which meant I had access to the room whenever Arun was out. He was the most trusting person I have ever met, and that was why I couldn't make up my mind to rob him. It's easy to rob a greedy man because he deserves to be robbed. It's easy to rob a rich man because he affords to be robbed. But it's difficult to rob a poor man, even one who really doesn't care if he robbed. A rich man or a greedy man or a careful man wouldn't keep his money under a pillow or mattress. He'd locked it up in a safe place. Arun had put his money where it could be child's play for me to remove it without his knowledge. It's time I did some real work, I told myself. I'm getting out of practice. If I don't take the money, he'd only waste it on his friends. He doesn't even pay me. Arun was asleep. Moonlight came in front of the veranda and fell across the bed. I sat up on the floor, my blanket wrapped round me. Considering the situation, there was quite a lot of money in that wad, and if I took it, I would have to leave. I might make the 10:30 express to Amritsar. Slipping out the blanket, I crept on the fours through the door and up to the bed and peeped at Arun. He was sleeping peacefully with a soft and easy breathing. His face was clear and unlight. Even I had more markings on my face, though mine were mostly scars. My hand took on the identity of its own as it slid around under the mattress, the fingers searching for the notes. They found them, and I drew them out without a crack. Arun sank in his sleep and turned on his side towards me. My free hand was resting on the bed, and his hair touched my finger. I was frightened when his hair touched my fingers and crawled quickly out of the room. When I was in the street, I began to run. I ran down the bazaar road to the station. The shops were all closed, but a few lights came from the upper windows. I had the notes at my waist, held there by a string of my pajamas. I felt I had to stop and count the notes, though I knew it might make me late for the train. It was already 10:20 by the clock tower. I slowed down to the walk, and my fingers flicked through the notes. They were about 100 rupees in fives. A good haul. I could live like a prince for a month or two. When I reached the station, I did not stop at the ticket office. I had never bought a ticket in my life, but dashed straight onto the platform. The Amritsar Express was just moving out. It was moving slowly enough for me able to jump on the footboard of any of the carriages, but I hesitated for some urgent, unexplainable reason. I hesitated long enough for the train to leave without me. When it was gone, and the noise and the busy confusion of the platform had subsided, I found myself standing alone on the deserted platform. The knowledge that I had 100 stolen rupees in my pajamas only increased my feeling of isolation and loneliness. I I had no idea where to spend the night. I had never kept any friends because sometimes friends can be one's undoing. I didn't want to make myself conspicuous by staying at the hotel. And the only person I really knew well in the town was the person I had robbed. Leaving the station, I walked slowly through the bazaar, keeping to the dark, deserted alleys. I kept thinking of Arun. He would be still asleep, blissfully unaware of his loss. I had made a study of men's face when they have lost something of material value. The greedy man shows panic. The rich man shows anger. The poor man shows fear. But I knew that neither panic nor anger nor fear would have shown on the Arun's face. When he discovered the theft, only a terrible sadness, not for the loss of the money, but for my having betrayed his trust. I found myself on the maiden and sat down on the bench with my feet tucked up under my haunches. The night was a little cold, and I regretted not having brought Arun's blanket alone. A light drizzle added to my discomfort. Soon it was raining heavily. My shirt and pajamas stuck to my skin, and a cold wind brought the rain whipping across my face. I told myself that sleeping on the bench was something I should have been used to by now, but the veranda had softened me. I walked back to the bazaar and sat down on the step of the closed shop. A few vagrants lay beside me, rolled up tight in thin blankets. The clock showed midnight. I felt for the notes. They were still with me, but had lost their crispness and were damp with the rainwater. Arun's money. In the morning, he would probably have given me a rupee to go to pictures, but now I have it all. No more cooking his meals, running to the bazaar, or leaning to write whole sentences. Whole sentences. They were something I had forgotten in the excitement of 100 rupees. Whole sentences I knew could one day bring me more than 100 rupees. It was a simple matter to steal, and sometimes just as simple to be caught. But to be a really big man, a wise and a successful man, there was something. I should go back to Arun, I told myself, if only to learn how to write. Perhaps it was also concern for Arun that drew me back. A sense of sympathy is one of my weaknesses, and through the hesitation over the theft, I have often been caught. A successful thief must be pitiless. I was fond of Arun, my affection for him, my sense of sympathy, but most of all, my desire to write whole sentences drew me back to the room. I hurried back to the room extremely nervous, for it is easier to steal something than to return it undetected. If I was caught beside the bed now, with the money in my hand, or with my hand under the mattress, there could be only one explanation, that I was actually stealing. If Arun woke up, I would be lost. I opened the door clumsily, then stood in the doorway in the clouded moonlight. Gradually, my eyes became accustomed to the darkness of the room. Arun was still asleep. I went on all the fours again and crept noiselessly to the head of the bed. My hand came up with the notes. I felt his breath on my fingers. I was fascinated by his tranquil features and easy breathing, and remained motionless for a minute. Then my hand explored the mattress, found the edge, slipped under it with the notes. I awoke late next morning to find that Arun has already made the tea. I found it difficult to face him in the harsh light of the day. His hands were stretched out towards me. There was a 5 rupee note between his fingers. My heart sank. I made some money yesterday, he said. Now you get paid regularly. My spirit rose as rapidly as it has followed. I congratulated myself of having returned the money. But when I took the note, I realized that he knew everything. The note was still wet from the last night's rain. Today, I teach you to write a little more than your name, he said. He knew, but neither his lips nor his eyes said anything about their knowing. I smiled at Aaron in my most appealing way, and the smile came by itself without my knowing it. So I guess you will get to know the story. The story is all about the person who tries to cheat a person by just robbing his money. But you can see that his his much more concern is not about stealing. He has got some sympathy, and of course you can see he wants to write, he wants to learn to read and write, because for being successful you want to to know that you need to read and write. And this is the whole sentences that he wants Arun to teach him, take him again to to Arun. And though Arun knows that, I know Arun is a very nice person and he won't say anything, and he just accepts him as the way he is, because I think he has been honest and he is being a very good towards Arun too. So we can see that how education is very important, and the only thing is like education can do anything in this world. So I hope you like the story. It's just you have to give a very much applause and respect to Ruskin Bond, who makes such beautiful stories. And do read his stories. They have short stories and very nice stories. I hope you liked it. Do subscribe to my channel for more stories, and thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.